Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Mind your business. Only on Money FM 89.3.
Thanks for joining us on Mind Your Business with Audrey Seek and Ahmad Akhtar. Now, there are many things we can say to describe us Singaporeans, but one thing is for sure, we love our food.
Indeed.
We queue for hours for our favorite dishes, and our hawker culture is world famous. But behind the passion lies a hard truth. Running an F&B business here is brutally tough.
It is. High rents, manpower shortages, razor-thin margins are some of the reasons why many eateries may not even survive their first year. So the big question is, how do we keep our food scene thriving when the odds are stacked against operators?
Well, some believe the answer lies not just in new menus or delivery apps, but in rethinking the very heart of the business, which is the kitchen itself. Today on Mind Your Business, we're joined by Crono Lee, marketing manager of Aikit Private Limited, the company behind ChefGenie, which is Singapore's first AI-powered autonomous kitchen. Good morning, Crono. Great to have you on the show.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me on the show as well.
Yeah, thank you for making the time, Crono. Let's start with the bigger picture. The F&B industry, as we've just outlined, is notoriously tough here in Singapore. Restaurant chains you thought were bulletproof have had to shut down outlets. Recently, we've had a popular Chinese hot pot chain, Haidilao, closing 3 Heartland outlets. From your perspective, what are the biggest gaps and pain points of the F&B industry in Singapore today?
Actually, from my opinion, the biggest challenge in F&B aren't actually about the passion or the food or the love for food. I think Singapore, we all love food. I think even myself, even look at my size, right? And it's about how tough the business environment is today. I mean, cost of labor and rental are always rising, and at the same time, I think diners themselves expect food that is both convenient and great taste, no matter when and where they eat. So even with excellent food, many operators find it difficult to balance both sides, keeping customer happy while trying to keep the business sustainable. I mean, we have seen so many multi-brand groups and even Michelin restaurants closing over the past few years. I think it's really not about anyone doing something wrong. It's really just that the traditional kitchen model carries a lot of weight. And that's why more businesses are looking for new ways to grow and serve their customers.
Yeah, so you talked about high rent, manpower shortages, high overheads, but these are not new issues. So why do you think these challenges have been so stubbornly persistent, and why is it getting worse as time goes on?
Well, I think the problems have stayed so persistent because they are structural issues. And in Singapore, labor and rental costs is always increasing and getting more expensive every year. And this cost is directly to the margin. And at the same time, I think customers' expectations of quality and convenience are always rising. So even if an operator works really hard and refresh their menu every time, the traditional model hasn't changed. That makes it very difficult to scale beyond 1 or 2 outlets, sometimes even because every new location comes with the same manpower and rental pressure. And that's why so many F&B businesses find it very hard to sustain themselves long term.
To play off what you've just said, when we talk about innovation, people think about new menus, better delivery apps, or marketing campaigns even. But you've decided to make change at the grassroots level in the form of reinventing the kitchen model itself. And you've arrived at what we now call ChefGenie, an AI-powered autonomous kitchen. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Maybe I start about what kept us rethinking about not just the food, but the entire kitchen model. From Aikit's perspective, what we realized that the real challenge sometimes isn't really about the recipe or the menu, but could be also the kitchen model itself. I think traditional kitchen is tied up to manpower, rental issues, and operating hours especially. As long as you're bound to some of these factors, right, you always face the same limits when it comes to scaling the business. And that's why we started to rethink the kitchen as something autonomous and maybe even scalable. We built a smart kitchen that can run inside a compact machine, and it could deliver the same quality of food without being tied down by the same restrictions like what F&B is facing right now. I think it's like, take for example, like today you have one small team and you can support dozens of these smart kitchens across the city. Something that would be impossible with the traditional model. But that shift in thinking is what gave birth to InstaChef as a product in the Aikit.
Okay, so before ChefGenie, Aikit had already experimented with InstaChef, which is your automated vending solution, I would describe it. Looking back, what lessons did you learn from InstaChef, and how did they shape the evolution of ChefGenie now?
Actually, it's the same challenge that everybody faces now. Vending machine is the biggest challenge is always food produced by a machine. It's usually not people's first choice. I mean, we have so many food options, convenience just around the corner near where we stay, and it's usually perceived as the quality of our food from a machine is always uncomparable to the food from a restaurant or even a hawker store. But what I've learned that actually all it takes is the first bite So once people have started to taste the food, they realize that, actually, okay ma, it's actually freshly cooked and quite comparable to the restaurants. So immediately from that point, the perception will shift quite immediately. I think one of the examples was when we first launched our very first machine in 2022-3 at NUS. We got very fantastic reception, and the students were saying, hey, the food is really good. And we're looking at if there's more ways you can increase the menu, more options for us. And with that, coming to that of ChefGenie, I think what came along the way, we are very data-centric a company. So we actually compiled quite a bit of this feedback and this data from our machine, from the consumer's feedback. And that's really what led to ChefGenie. So ChefGenie really isn't just a product. It's a platform that now can be able to bring on board other F&B brands on board with us. And most importantly, to scale their signature dishes 24/7 without the F&B challenges that we mentioned earlier.
Okay, Crono, for the uninitiated, perhaps those who aren't very savvy with tech or F&B, can you unpack how the ChefGenie actually works?
Wow, okay. Let me keep it very simple. I think ChefGenie really is just a platform that is able to power autonomous kitchen. I think our technology lives in the machine, which actually cook fresh, hot meals on order. Yeah, but the platform itself connects everything from the central kitchen where the food is prepared to the AI system that manages the stock, and finally to the place where the consumers order, which is through the app.
Okay, so it's smart from beginning to end. And I understand that you guys are already embarking on a 6-month pilot with some local F&B brands. How do you choose these partners? And tell us who you're working with here.
So when we come on board this program, I think we're very honored that we have Enterprise Singapore to come in and support us on this event, on this entire initiative. We started to look for brands with authentic and well-loved dishes that people already trust. I think trust is always a very important element that consumers say, oh, this is something that there's some heritage, there's some following and I've eaten before. So that's first bypass is always the trust. So, I mean, giving some names, we partner with Warong Park Safari, which I think many people have already well known for their risotto and their mee rebus, which carries 50 years of heritage. I think when customers see a dish that they already know and love, it helps overcome that initial hesitation of trying the food from our machine, which is that first bite, which I mentioned earlier. So for partners itself, the key is also trust. And at first, things may feel a little bit weird for them, but really it's how we bypass that as well to let them have the confidence of our technology.
Yeah, can we dive into that a little bit more? How do you earn the trust of potential partners, especially those who are on the fence, who might be unfamiliar with the tech or to jump on board with something that is disruptive?
Wow, disruptive is always such a big word to use. But I would position it like the first bite, like the first bite. At first, they will feel that this thing may seemingly look a bit disruptive, like, oh, is it here to, take over? Is it here to replace? But actually, sometimes once the chef really look at our technology and the technology, they can cook their dishes, and with the same time able to replicate the flavor and with the taste consistency. They realize that we're really not here to replace tradition, but really to extend it. The big learning is that it is always about letting the food speak for itself. So likewise, one bite is usually enough to convince both customer and partners.
Okay, so it's more of a compliment to them rather than replacing human chefs is the goal here for ChefGenie. Can I ask about cost in terms of, let's just say, you guys work with Springleaf Prata. Is it the cost with ChefGenie about the same as if you go to Springleaf or to eat their prata?
Well, I think on a cost level wise, definitely it may incur a little bit steeper in terms of cost as compared to eating at the location itself. But we try to maintain price as close as it is. But knowing there's a situation that there's other costs involved, like logistics involved and the entire operation. But it will definitely be slightly more costly. But we try our best in terms of trying to maintain as close as it is to where they're paying at the restaurant itself.
Okay.
Yeah, Crono, just interested to know about some of the challenges you faced along the way running ChefGenie that perhaps listeners can pick up on, some pearls of wisdom.
Well, I think for us in this business, really it's the first challenge we talk about is really still that first bite. That means it's about convincing consumers to know why come to a machine for food. So that's the number one thing that we really have to get over and really have to help consumers to get past that point. Along the way, of course, there will be things like logistic things that we have to consider, supply chain. We have to also consider interfacing. How is it that consumers will purchase the food smoothly, ensuring that you're able to keep up with the orders. I mean, at the end of the day, vending machine solution is about convenience. It's really about convenience, making it easy and simple for consumers to try to engage with your machine.
Yeah, but these vending solutions are still in its early days. So, Crono, if you look, maybe 5 to 10 years from now, how do you think autonomous kitchens could reshape the way F&B businesses grow and survive here in Singapore?
Well, actually, in my opinion, that a vending machine itself really isn't a very distant idea. I mean, the world has already shown us that autonomous food is so much possible. Like Japan itself, we have 5.5 million vending machines in their country, and then it's been the longest leader in food automation. And you can see that now Thailand is pushing ahead with new food tech formats. So these markets tells us that consumers are actually very open to innovation in dining when it's convenient and consistent. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we in Aikit believe that autonomous kitchen will become an important layer in the way of food is served, not just Singapore, but in terms of globally as well. Well, most importantly, I think what we want to let most people understand is that the autonomous kitchen or the vending machine is really not here to replace the traditional restaurants and hawkers, but it is where now we can now sit alongside with them as a new format. And it's a way for brands to scale faster and for customers to access freshly cooked hot meals whenever they want.
Yeah, well, as the F&B scene continues to evolve, it will be fascinating to see how technology like this blends with our love for food and tradition. Crono, it was great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That was Crono Lee, Marketing Manager of Aikit Private Limited. Stay with Money FM 89.3.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.